Hello, Ed.
Hello. How's it going?
Hello, hello.
Really good.
Hey everyone.
Hey, Allie.
Hello.
Hey, Ashley. Hey, Asha. Hey, Jordan.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, guys.
The whole crew. Look at us. Ready to go. No one objects. I'll go ahead and get started.
Loves it.
I second the motion.
Alrighty, good evening, everyone. Welcome to BPA's Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I'm pleased to call this meeting of the BPA Go Team to order at 5:31. Our first order of business is to call roll, and we'll go ahead with Allie. Allie, do you mind?
David White,
Hello.
Ed Cruz,
Here.
Laura Shaw,
Here.
Melanie Williams,
Here.
Marlene Ganaway,
Here.
Morgan Kingray,
Here.
Jordan Lingenfelter.
Here.
I am here. Charles
Not here yet.
and Asha Rogers.
Here.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Do we have a quorum?
We do. I heard Ed second the wait, what were we seconding? No,
I was just seconding the start of
Unofficial.
the meeting. It
I
was
was just
just
I was like, who
it was a bad joke.
motioned? We're good.
Bad
Yes,
joke.
we have a quorum. We can continue. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So our first order of business tonight is to approve our agenda. This was provided to you. Does anybody have any changes to our agenda for tonight?
Nope.
Alrighty, awesome. May I have a motion to approve our agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Allie. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Melanie. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Thank you. Any opposed? None and no abstentions. So we have approved our agenda. Our next order of business is to approve our meeting minutes from our last meeting. We had those provided as well by email in our calendar invite. Are there any corrections to our meeting minutes? Alrighty. If we don't have any corrections, may I have a motion to approve our previous meeting minutes?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Melanie. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Laura. All in favor, say aye or raise your hands. Looks like we're all there. No nays, no abstentions. So now we're going to go ahead and get into our discussion items, which is our final budget recommendation. And our lovely principal, David White, is going to take it away.
I'm lovely, eh? I like that. Let me pull up my deck here. Can you guys see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, thank you. Let me see here. Okay, so I believe Morgan pushed out a couple notes from me earlier today, along with the deck I'm sharing tonight. And the good news is the budget is unchanged from the budget I presented to you guys in February, to which you gave me your thoughts and feedback. Nothing has changed since the budget I presented at that time. So I'm thinking and I'm hopeful that this will be a fairly simple conversation this evening. Since you and I met in February, as I shared with you, I had to sit with Human Resources and talk them through the budget and my staffing plan for next year. I got the green light from them, and then I sat with my supervisor and did the same thing. And both of them have green lighted our budget and our staffing plan for next year. So I'm feeling great about that. But I want to share with you some required slides tonight, and then we will have some time for discussion and take action. Here's the agenda that we've already revisited and approved. Just to revisit our norms, this is a meeting of the Go team. We want everyone's thoughts and input. We'll follow the agenda as noticed, and we'll respect everyone's ideas and good intentions as always. A reminder about where we are in the process. We've completed all the previous steps. We are at the summit of this process with our finalization and approval vote tonight. And we're right on time because the deadline for such an approval is tomorrow, March 14th. So there are, I'll give you some summaries and some, I'll remind you by function of what our budget numbers are. I also captured on this slide that there are no changes, substantive or otherwise, to our budget since I presented it to you in February. And then we'll take action to approve, hopefully, later this evening. I believe also this is a good time to check. Morgan, I believe it's required that every Go Team member participated in that online budget training module to be able to vote tonight. Do we have that taken care of? Do you know?
Last we still had a few people who had not completed it, but
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
follow up with the Go Team office.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just don't want to be out of line with any of their expectations. Again, here's another reminder that I haven't changed anything since we chatted last. I capturing that for posterity and for the record that the budget that we're voting on tonight is the same budget that we talked through and looked through last month. Got a couple of those summary slides coming up for you. I wanted to be sure and lift again for you some improvements that I'm proud of making in next year's budget. We switched our five hourly paras in kindergarten and have converted them to full-time with benefits for next year. We're increasing our band teachers allocation at BPA from 1 day to 2 days. We're adding a second gifted teacher to help serve and support our growing number of gifted kiddos. We're adding an hourly bookkeeper, an hourly non-instructional para, and we have several stipends for specialized skills and positions. And we're really happy to be able to do that. We've never really been able to do that before. We did have a couple of decreased positions, and that is a special ed interrelated teacher. We've been staffed for only 3 interrelated special ed teachers next year. We've already gone through the process to identify and notice that teacher, and I'm supporting her as she interviews at other schools where they're gaining special ed positions for next year. I'm hopeful and encouraged that she will get picked up by one of those schools. Her name, for anecdotally, if you are interested, is Miss Dunbar. She was new at BPA this year, so she may not be someone that you've met or know well yet, but she will not be with us next year. Here is a summary of those stipends I mentioned again that we're able to include in next year's budget that we haven't had previously. We're offering a $1,500 gifted stipend for homeroom teachers who are already gifted endorsed or who participate in that process next year. We're offering 2 coaching stipends for our Sun Dragons basketball team, 2 of those at $1,500. We're offering a drama coach stipend. We have the money to make that 2 of those. I think that we had some discussion about that last time. And if the body wants me to change that to 2 tonight, we can do that. So catch that somewhere as a discussion item. We're offering dyslexia and intervention support stipends to 2 professionals here in the building. And all that together totals about $40,000. I'm remembering, though I didn't remember it until just now, some conversation from last month about the idea of increasing that drama coach stipend instead of having 1 such stipend to offer that to 2 people. Am I remembering that correctly? And is that something that we would like to do? Maybe I made that up.
I remember us talking about a stipend for a cheerleading coach if there was a desire for
Maybe that's what
cheerleading.
Yeah, I
team
think that's
to
what
go
I'm.
on with the basketball team.
I think that's what I'm misremembering, Allie. Thank you for that. So let's take a straw poll now. Is that something we feel like we should do? I'm totally on board with it. I just don't want to take that action without the approval of the body.
I see head nods, some hand raises. It looks like we're in agreement to add that.
Okay. And it will mirror the athletic coaching stipend of $1,500. I can amend that on my stipend page without taking that back to HR. I don't think that's significant enough to do that for. Here's a reminder that the bulk of our money obviously goes toward staffing, and dollars equal people, right? Employees. But this is the non-staffing page, the ways in which we're allocating dollars that aren't staffing dollars. Just glance at that. This has not changed either. I wanted to remind you and revisit the idea of leaving space for the new principal in our FY26 budget. So our leveling reserve dollars of 131,000, we talked about, and you guys agreed that we would leave those dollars to the allocation of the new principal with advisement from the Go team. So that's just a reminder slide here for us.
David, can I add that as a Go team, Diane brought up that at our very first meeting, we'll have a discussion to talk about what we would do with that leveling money as a Go team. That'll be one of our first action items.
I like that. Will that be at the organizational meeting or the first business meeting?
At the very first organizational meeting.
Okay.
And I've marked that, and now Allie can mark it as well in our meeting minutes.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. This is one of the required slides for tonight. It's a reminder of how much money we're spending by account. Oh gosh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sliding around the images of people because they're hiding my content. It's confusing me. Let me slide back over here. So in item account 1000, we're spending $7.3 million. Pupil services, improvement of instruction, instructional staff training, and so on and so on. You see how those dollars add up. Our total budget is almost 9.4 million. Our FTE, or the number of humans, full-time equivalent humans working in the building, we have about 75 people, grown-ups getting paid to be at BPA. And our per pupil expenditure will go up to $15,825 next year. That's a pretty significant increase. The year we're living in now, our per pupil was around 14,000. The bulk of that increase is attributed to the cost of employees, with the significant raises that our employees across the board are enjoying this year. So paying that forward into the future meant we got a significantly larger budget, and our per pupil expenditure goes up accordingly. The next slide is just a pie chart version of the same information.
Hey, David.
I heard something. Yes.
Did you, is Miss Lindsay buried in one of those line items?
Yeah, she's one of the, she's the non-instructional hourly para. Yeah, she's
Okay, thank you.
staff improvements. Yes, sir. And the bookkeeper is in there as well. All the people we're looking to add, or the positions we're adding, those upgraded kindergarten para positions, they're all reflected there as well. They're baked in, as it were. And then this is just another way of looking at the budget by function. It's exactly the same data as here, just captured in a slightly different way. It's a good visual of the propensity of our dollars being spent on instruction, teaching staff specifically, and then how the other chunks of the budget compare to that expenditure. That's my deck. So it is obviously very brief. We spent a lot of time, as you will remember, last month talking through our earnings and my suggestions for expending those earnings. But I'm happy to revisit anything that bubbles up that you're wondering about or that you may have forgotten from last month. We're going to, Morgan, we have to and shall link last month's presentation in tandem with tonight's presentation on our website as well. They have to both be side by side and equally available to the public or anyone else who wants to see them. So we can chat through that.
Yes, all of our documents so far have been posted on our website. We'll just
Thank you. There was a slide on the template for tonight's deck that requested the linking of a URL, a hot link, and we can do that as well if that's simply done, but certainly they both have to live on the website. What other questions do you have for me, guys?
Looks good. You did it right the first time.
That was my goal. I hoped to make tonight easy, and I appreciate that feedback. I feel really good about the budget and really good about our staffing plan. I think my successor will be in really good shape from a staffing perspective and from a dollars available, resources available to spend on the needs of the school. I am very happy about that.
Alrighty, guys, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and take action to vote on our budget for next school year. So at this time, may I have a motion to approve our budget?
I move to approve the budget.
Thank you, Melanie. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Jordan. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
All right, we've all voted. No nays, no abstentions. Awesome, awesome. We have approved our budget.
Excellent, excellent.
Happy day. So we do not have any more discussion items. Our next is just an information item. Did we have anybody go to the cluster advisory meeting?
I was there. Melanie was there. Yay.
Would you all like to share anything from the meeting for the good of the group?
What's your reflection, Melanie? It kind of fell apart in my estimation.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I was shuffled to a lot of different rooms.
Yeah.
I would feel like I was kind of having a productive time in one room, then I'd go to another room and realize I missed quite a bit of it. So it was a bit of a shuffle, but it was interesting just to hear feedback. I appreciated hearing a lot of feedback from the principals about how they felt about the increases in teacher pay, and then hearing the superintendent talk about why that was done. And I got the impression, he's gotten some pushback about it, but it was very interesting and, gratifying to hear that pay increase has really, increased the level of applicants that different schools have been getting. And so
the quality as well.
The quality of the applicants that people are getting. So, a lot of good, nuggets came from each segment I was in. But again, it was a lot of shuffling, and I think I missed, quite a bit of what I was supposed to get. But that's just kind of one of the takeaways I had from it.
I share your reflection on all that. I would add that at one point they got into a little bit of some talking points around the demographers study and where populations, where schools are not as full as they might be / should be / could be, and some early discussion about what that might mean for either shuffling varying enrollment zones or perhaps school closures in next, not school year 25-26, but the year after that. And the chat room I was in really got really animated when those conversations began, as you would imagine. So I think after next school year gets underway, it's the intent of the district to start having conversations more in earnest about mergers or closures or enrollment zone changes to try to balance out some of that enrollment inequity. In our cluster, we have 2 schools that are full. That's us and Parkside. The other schools have room to grow. Toomer's probably close to full as well. I was surprised because Toomer just had a renovation and they did not increase any seats at Toomer, like none. Its enrollment did not increase as a function of their recent renovation. So that was surprising. But we have 3 schools out of the 6 that are significantly under enrolled and could hold a lot more kids. So I don't know. And Benteen is one of those. It's very under enrolled, but there's so much residential development in Benteen's catchment. I would be surprised if they did anything, to close or change Benteen drastically. BAMO just went through a beautiful multi-million-dollar renovation. I can't imagine us not having Barack and Michelle Obama open. Dunbar is very under enrolled, and it borders the Washington cluster. There's been some conversation in years past about perhaps scooting Dunbar to a different cluster. I don't know how likely that is or if that will resurface. That would help minimally with the overcrowding at King Middle and Maynard Jackson, but not a whole lot because there's not a whole lot of kids at Dunbar anyway. So I don't know where that will all land, but we'll see. So I think that will be an interesting thread of work for next year's Go team as well. That's the thing that stuck out to me from that CAT meeting was just the beginning of that conversation. And a lot of people who've been around in the district for a while have a bit of PTSD around those conversations, because every time it bubbles up, it's always really dramatic and perhaps traumatic for the families that are impacted by it. So I expect some of that to surface next year again.
Is there any difference between the new superintendent? Like, what did that new superintendent come in? I mean, I don't know if this is outside the kind of scope creep, but what's the impact of this new superintendent? Is it positive? Is it the same? Or like, what's
to say more about what you mean about impact?
Just on the overall operation, just like what are the leadership, how does the leadership feel about this guy?
Okay.
Is he bringing in like a new positive look at things, or about the same? Or?
I understand. Yeah, like my impression and my colleagues' impression generally, I think, is really positive. Dr. Johnson comes from, his history includes several stints as a principal, as a middle school principal and a high school principal. He seems to really value and understand the work of a school principal and the work of managing a school, right, and being involved in a school community. And I think our most recent, not our interim soup, but the Dr. Herring before that, didn't have that school level leadership experience as much. So I think the way she thought about and managed individual schools and school leaders was, I think, quite different from what I'm experiencing from Dr. Johnson already. He seems to really value the input of principals. And I, as a principal, as expected, I really appreciate that and think that's smart, because principals generally have a better understanding and pulse on what's happening in their specific school communities than people at the district level possibly could, in my opinion. So my general impression is quite strong. I think he's done really good work before. He's really smart. He has some corporate experience as well. He tends to have a really quick cadence. His decision-making flow seems to be quite expeditious. Like, I don't think he's one to mull things over forever, which might be good. You know, sometimes I think we are victims of overthink. I am certainly one of those people. I'm never not thinking. I'm an overthinker extraordinaire. I think he's more of an activator, which might be a nice change. Yeah, generally good.
Good.
Alrighty, thanks for that update. The only other information item I will bring to you all is just to indicate with where we are in the new principal hiring process. Ed and I will go down to central office on April 1st to kind of narrow down the people in which we will offer interviews to, and then the interviews in which we are all a part of will happen on April 17th. If you haven't received a calendar invite, they're coming. They're sending them out to everyone, and that'll be a full day down at APS's CLL building.
I will miss you all. Obviously, I will not be a part of that interview, just to voice that.
Outside of David.
Right.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're good. You're good.
Alrighty. At this point, we'll go to announcements. Does anyone have any announcements for the good of the group?
Bingo starting in 7 minutes. It's going to be fun.
Diane, do you have anything for the group? Awesome, awesome. Well, then we have reached the end of our agenda. There's no additional business at this time. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Melanie. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Laura. All in favor, say aye or raise your hands. All right, looks good. No nays, no abstentions. Our meeting is adjourned, and it's 5:54.
Hey, that's a record right
Nice.
there. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, you guys were the last budget meeting, so
Hey,
hey,
and the best, Diane. We're the best.
always the best. But you guys wrap